To my horror, I discovered that seawater was seeping in above the workstation. Before I could even process what was happening, a massive surge of seawater came crashing in. I sprinted toward the isolation pod, shouting for my teammates to evacuate. In the end, only Rodrigo made it to me. Just as I was about to seal the hatch, the other two teammates finally appeared at the far end of the corridor. The water pressure had already warped the passageway beyond recognition, and the sea was flooding in like a broken dam. I knew there was no way they were going to make it. I had no choice but to close the hatch.
Shut the door now!
The pressure differential sent a shockwave ripping through the compartment, throwing Rodrigo and me hundreds of meters. Miraculously, we walked away with only minor injuries, but the crisis was far from over. The voice system announced structural damage, warning that the workstation was on the verge of total collapse. Communications were down, no way to call for help. Our only shot was to reach the nearest escape pod and get back to the surface. We moved out, picking our way through the wreckage. We followed the sound of a distress call and pulled out one of our teammates. The three of us pushed through the corridors, stepping past colleagues who hadn't been so lucky, pinned under slabs of concrete. When we finally reached the escape pod bay, the pods were gone. The captain was sitting there alone. Minutes earlier, he'd loaded dozens of survivors onto those pods. Now there were 6 of us left on the station. Nobody knew exactly what had gone wrong. All we knew was that we had 30 minutes before the whole thing blew. The only option was to walk to Roebuck Station. The captain laid out the plan. Suit up in dive gear, ride the elevator down to the sea floor at 11,000 meters, hike to a way station to resupply on oxygen, then continue on foot across the ocean floor to Roebuck. It sounded straightforward on paper, but moving on the deep sea floor is agonizingly slow, and there was a real chance we'd run out of oxygen before we got there. At first, everyone pushed back until another violent tremor hit. Staying put was a death sentence. We had to roll the dice. We suited up and stepped onto the descent platform. Then, as soon as we hit the water, everything went sideways. Rodrigo's suit was already compromised. As the pressure climbed, the crack in his helmet kept spreading. The moment the outer hatch opened, the pressure crushed him. Just like that, a person, gone, right in front of my eyes. We swallowed our grief and pressed on, boarding the cargo elevator and descending deeper into the abyss. Halfway down, a distress signal came through. The captain figured it was one of our people, so we docked at a nearby platform and sent Liam and Paul to check it out. When they reached the coordinates, they found a damaged escape pod and a body. Liam leaned in for a closer look, and something lunged at him. Paul dropped it with a single shot. They hauled the creature's body back to the elevator. It was unlike anything any of us had ever seen. We might have just stumbled onto an undiscovered deep-sea species. Emily poked at it with a pencil. It moved. At that moment, the elevator lurched violently, and another one of those things appeared above us. Then came even worse news. Kepler Station had exploded.